Welcome to the U World Order Showcase podcast, where we feature life, health, and transformational coaches being the change they seek in the world. If you'd like to be featured on our podcast to share what you're contributing to making the world a better place for us all, please go to www.jointheuworldorder.com. Be sure to like and follow our podcast for the latest episodes. Hi, and welcome to the U World Order Showcase podcast. I'm your host, Jill Hart, and today we have with us a very special guest, Tony Hill. Tony is a Pinterest strategist and coach. He is the creator of PinClicks and the Maverick community. His mission is to help others get their great ideas seen in the world of Pinterest, and he is also the host of Pin Talk podcast with Carly. I can't remember Carly's last name. I just know her as Carly. Carly Campbell, that's right. I love Carly. So welcome to the show, Tony. I've been really waiting for this.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. This is cool.
Okay, so I'm just going to jump in and pepper with you with like all the questions. But probably we should start at the beginning, and you could just kind of give us an overview of how Pinterest can really what Pinterest is, because I think a lot of people don't really realize what it is fundamentally, and how coaches can use it to actually get traffic for their business.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting when I talk to people and they ask me what I do, and inevitably I bring up something about Pinterest, and they always give me this look of surprise, like, oh wow, Pinterest is still around, like people are still on Pinterest, there's money to be made from Pinterest, because, you know, TikTok is very popular right now, Instagram, even Facebook, YouTube, and X. So there's this Pinterest sleeping giant, I think is the way I like to look at them. They're continuing to grow as a platform, continue to get more people signing up, reaching a lot of the younger audience, according to Pinterest. They're reaching a lot of millennials these days. And so it's still a great platform to reach people with your products, your services, your message, if you can find the right fit. So Pinterest is a little different than other platforms. You know, my background is working with Google and doing Google SEO to try to rank websites. And I then have switched over to Pinterest because Google really doesn't like a lot of the smaller sites these days for some reason. So I've shifted more of my focus over to Pinterest, and I've been helping others do the same. That a lot of them are getting great results. They're getting traffic, they're earning additional revenue, and helping to offset the traffic loss and revenue loss they got from Google deciding to not rank their websites very high. So it's a great platform for a lot of creators and coaches if you can find the right fit. So Pinterest can be a little different than other platforms, as I mentioned, and that it's the reason why people go to Pinterest. It's a little different than why they go to TikTok or Instagram or Google. For Pinterest, it's all about inspiration. They want to get some sort of inspiration. They want to see ideas. They want to be inspired with something in their life that they're interested in. And versus like going to Google, where oftentimes they've got a specific problem that they're trying to solve, or maybe they're just trying to navigate to their bank website, and they're just going to type the name of the bank in there. And so it's just it can be in a very different mindset when they go to Google, or like TikTok is kind of more, passive. I just want to be entertained and just watch videos and kind of chill out a little bit. So I think it's important to understand what the intention is for people when they go to Pinterest. And so, we can talk more about that and some other ways that coaches could start leveraging this platform. Pinterest is getting, they have 500 million monthly active users, I believe. And I think in total, they have about 1 billion people on their site every month. It's a huge market.
It is huge. It is really huge. I think that perhaps people will also look at you and say you're a guy. How can guys make it on Pinterest? Because it was predominantly women over there. Guys need to be inspired too, right?
Yeah, that's true. It's funny. I was talking to my dad a few months ago about Pinterest, and he was like, I like to go and he likes to look at pictures of bears. So every year they've got the biggest bear contest for these certain bears that they track all over the world, and bears like to fatten up before they go in hibernation mode, and so there's always this contest, and he likes to check out those bears over there. He's really into fishing, and so there's some stuff that he's saving on Pinterest related to fishing. So I was surprised. I had no idea he was using Pinterest, and it's my dad. And I talk to him all the time, So it's kind of that another sign that's a sleeping giant, that a lot of people use it. My wife uses it. That's how I got introduced to Pinterest, was because of my wife. Back in the day when Pinterest was coming around and becoming a little bit more popular, first few years, and my wife got on there to start saving stuff for our wedding, and then she invited me to collaborate on there, and then she just started saving other stuff, like some outfits and jewelry and home decor stuff, and then I got to spy on her account and figure out what are the things I can get her for Christmas or her anniversary or her birthday. It was great. And she continues to use it to this day. But yes, as a guy, that there are less men on Pinterest, according to Pinterest and their stats. It is kind of female oriented. I'm not sure why that is. To be honest with you, but that could be just the way that Pinterest promoted itself in the beginning, was towards that audience, or I don't know, just the way the platform works and the kind of topics that are popular there just draw in a larger female audience. But I've seen male-oriented content do well on the platform. Now, it's not going to do well as a fashion blog for women, or there's a lot of mommy blogs, parenting blogs, that are women oriented, but I've seen some men do well on the platform, and I've done well myself. And the kind of content, the kind of sites that I create are specific to Pinterest and the audience, and they're very popular topics among the audience. So less male oriented stuff. I have some male oriented stuff, but a lot of the content that I'm publishing and I'm reaching people with is geared towards women.
So when it comes to coaches, what kinds of topics could they really get away with talking about over there? And how would they? You were mentioning a tool that you have where they could see how their content could fit in over there. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I've been thinking about this before our conversation today, just trying to get into the mindset of a coach and how they're trying to reach more people. I'd imagine, the person who's listening to this, they want to be able to help and serve more people with their giftings. And so if they can find a way to make that fit for Pinterest, great. Not everyone can, but if you can understand the most popular topics on there, so there are a couple tools. I've created a tool where it's a free tool anyone can use, and basically it's a little database of about 20,000 of the most popular topics on Pinterest. And I'm almost confident that that's it. I've kind of discovered this. It was kind of hidden a little bit on Pinterest, and I figured out one day. I found all these topics, quickly downloaded them, put them into this tool, and they're matching up with some tools that I see that Pinterest provides as well to understand what are popular topics. But Pinterest has a limitation on what they'll show you. It's called Pinterest Trends. You can check it out. If you create a Pinterest account, you'll get access to Pinterest Trends as well. So between Pinterest Trends and the tool that I have, you can start searching for topics that you talk about with your clients a lot, or that they come to you with. And a lot of times they're 1, 2, 3, or maybe 4 word phrases. For example, financial advice, or savings advice. If you provide coaching for getting out of debt, or saving money, etc. And so you can take some of those topics, plug them in to my tool, also plug them into Pinterest Trends, another free tool, and see what's showing up, to see if those words do show up. If they do, that's a great sign that people are searching for this, they're interested in it, and you can start talking about it. So if I were a coach and wanting to reach people on Pinterest, I would figure out these topics that they're interested in, and most importantly, they want to get ideas for. So again, Pinterest is all about inspiring people with ideas. And so that's where, if you provided, say some coaching on like parenting. Like if a lot of clients are struggling with parenting, you provide coaching for them, then I would start a blog and start creating blog posts with parenting advice. And of course, on every blog post and on the website, you can promote your services. You can promote, say, like a free download in exchange for that person's email. You can get them into an email sequence and continue to educate them and kind of coach them through email, and then offer product services, etc. But it's understanding. There's a lot of moms on Pinterest, and there's a lot of parenting related topics on there. And so if that's the kind of coaching you do, it could be a really, really great fit for Pinterest. But it's just understanding what are the topics and keywords that people are entering into Pinterest as a search engine, because it's a big search engine. But again, it's not quite like Google. I would be surprised if a lot of people go to Pinterest and they were to type in life coach to try to find a life coach. They're more likely to go to Google for that, but they're going to go to Pinterest, and maybe they are looking for some tips on, maybe they're struggling with sleep, or maybe they're looking to eat a little healthier, right? And so they're looking for healthy recipes. And so you'll see a lot of searches, again, looking at Pinterest trends or my tool related to those type of topics. And that's where you can reach them first, is just being helpful and offering them free information, free advice around the topics that you typically coach around.
And if you were just starting out on Pinterest, what would you say is the best way to get traction quick?
Yeah, that's a good question. Pinterest, it can be challenging as a platform in the sense that it can take a little while to get traction. Facebook can be great because there's a way to basically create a Facebook page, and you can spend money on ads that you can basically buy likes. So you can show an ad for people to like your page, and you can quickly, with a couple $100, build an audience of, I don't know, maybe a couple thousand people on Facebook and reach them there. And it's like within a month or so. With Pinterest, you can't really do that. They would like to take their time with new accounts to see, okay, are they creating good pins and helpful pins and content for our users? Do they like them or not? And so it can take 1 to 3 to 6 months before you start gaining traction. So it's a commitment. But the nice thing is, a lot of the blog posts that you create for Pinterest, they could also work really well on Facebook, promoting them to your audience on Facebook if you're on there. You can create, TikTok videos to promote them, Instagram Reels on those same topics and everything. So if you can find ways to repurpose your content, because Pinterest is a commitment. It's one of those things, like if you dabble in it, you're not going to see very much success. It's going to take a commitment of creating pins, creating blog posts, almost every day. Of course, you can batch it and you can schedule things out with Pinterest, so you don't have to technically do things every day, but it does require consistency and putting out, at least one blog post a week or more, even better. And if you can put out a handful of pins every week, and eventually the more pins you can create on Pinterest, the better your chances. But the thing is, and the great thing about offering coaching or some sort of product service is that you don't need a ton of traffic to convert and to be profitable for you. Versus there's a lot of bloggers out there that do well with Pinterest, and they bring a lot of traffic to their sites, but they're mainly earning revenue from ads on their site. And they're just not going to earn as much versus providing a real product or service. And so that's the advantage that coaches have. And so you may only need like 100 or so people per day to come to your site from Pinterest. But for a lot of bloggers, that would not be enough. They wouldn't be profitable off that. But for coaching, because if you can convert them to become clients, you could be very profitable for you. So that's kind of the long answer. It's going to take some time and commitment, consistency to it.
So let's talk a little bit about group boards. This is a personal question.
Okay.
I've had some experience with Pinterest. I've been around the platform for quite a while. And I know there's always, group boards are good, group boards are bad. How many group boards should you have? How many boards should you have overall? Should all your boards be related to like one topic? I know that's a whole bunch of stuff, but
yeah, it's good to bring up. So if you don't know what group boards are, when you create a Pinterest account, you create boards, and inside those boards are your pins. And each pin will basically link to blog posts on your website. And you can have your own boards and put your own pins in those boards. And the boards are important because it gives context to the user, but also gives context to Pinterest to understand, okay, what are all the pins in this board? And like, what are they about inside this board? And so if you have a whole board on, say, like you talk about astrology, you could create a board for each astrological sign, and like you can create like a whole series of blog posts for that particular sign, right? And maybe provide some advice and information about it. And so you want to kind of cluster those together on topics. And so those are boards, and depends how they relate to each other. And then you can have shared boards. And this could be a good strategy for coaches in particular who have overlapping topics and interests, you could say. So if you are a life coach and you've got other friends who are also life coaches and they're also on Pinterest, then you can create a shared board with those friends. And anytime that either one of you create a blog post related to some sort of life coaching, life advice, then you can create a pin and pin it to that shared group board. And the advantage there is that those boards can become very powerful in helping those pins be seen by more people. But you want to choose your friends wisely on who you share those boards with, to make sure that they're creating good content, putting out good pins into those boards, because it could affect how well your pins do. This strategy, board strategy, doesn't work for everyone. I personally don't do it, but I know people who do. And Carly Campbell, who you had mentioned earlier, she recently has seen some success with some shared boards. And I know other people who have seen success with shared boards in the past, and they continue to see success with those shared group boards. I just think you just need to be very particular about who you share them with and collaborate with, and also to make sure those boards are very focused on a specific topic, but also you understand that with boards, you have to look at it like, okay, someone's going to follow this board. Once they engage with the pin from that board, then they're naturally are going to follow that board according to Pinterest. And you want to continue to create pins that person is interested in. And so if you have an astrology board and you start putting parenting advice in there that's not related to astrology, then those pins are not going to do well. So it's something else to consider and factor in.
I've found personally that if you have a group board, if you're really careful about creating group boards, you can go out and find bigger content pinners out there and invite them to your group board. And if they accept, and I tend to go and visit their site and pin from their site onto the group board, and then leave a comment on that pin so that they see that they've been invited to this group board. They will join, and your pins get on their boards that are getting a lot more because it shows up on their, when people go to visit their profile and they're getting millions of views, then they go to see some of their group boards and your pins are showing up there. They're more likely to get a little bit more traction. It's a tactic I use when I start new accounts.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. That's a smart way to approach it, for sure. I haven't heard that particular tactic, so that's good. I'll have to try that.
Something different.
Yeah.
Let's talk about hashtags.
Yeah, hashtags. Yeah, hashtags back in the day, it was like hashtag everything. I say back in the day, I don't know, maybe 5-10 plus years ago. We use hashtags on platforms like Pinterest, YouTube, Instagram, I think even Facebook, as it was a way to communicate to the code the platform, like, hey, this is what this is about. If people want to see more of this type of content, you kind of label it with a hashtag, and that helped those platforms understand what your content was about to then better distribute that content to people who would find it interesting. But now these platforms have gotten smarter, and they don't necessarily need hashtags for you to add a hashtag into your Pinterest description or your Instagram caption. But I still see creators do it. I don't do it myself. Carly Campbell still does it, I believe. And I continue to see new pins and successful accounts that do use hashtags. And it's an interesting correlation. They could still be helping. I don't know. I haven't tested it myself, but I still see it being used. And I would imagine that Pinterest and these other platforms are still trying to leverage those hashtags as best they can, and people are still putting them in. So it wouldn't hurt, but I just don't spend any time on it myself. Do you?
I do, because I've been using AI. I have this one Pinterest account that is almost 100% I go to PinCrafter and I show it the pin, just drop the pin in there and say, okay, I'm going to pin this pin to this board, and this is the link that it's going to write me a good title and description. And it always gives me hashtags. And it gives me hashtags for more descriptions too. So I've just been putting in what it says to put in. And I've actually, this account, I've been only using it for really a couple of months. It's a couple of years old, but all of those old pins are like, I have to go through and start deleting them, because another tool you have that you shared, and I'm a member of your community, so you have this new tool out there that you shared with your community that allows people to go and see which pins are in trouble and possibly going to cause your account to be shadow banned. So I thought that was great. So definitely go and join his Maverick community. It's like there's so much good stuff over there. But I forgot where I was going with this.
We're on the hashtags.
Oh yeah,
you're using the PinCrafter.
Yeah, so I'm using PinCrafter and just doing what I'm just posting that stuff in there. Yeah. It didn't come up with any of those pins, which is interesting to me.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, I wonder, so Jesse Cunningham, I think he's the one who created the PinCrafter. I wonder if he put in there, because it's a GPT, right? And so I wonder if he put in there maybe in the prompts to like have it generate relevant hashtags, which then, ChatGPT was trained on Pinterest data. I'm certain of that. I'm not certain. I'm 99% sure that was true. And so it's found all of these pins in the past with these hashtags. And so I could see also that ChatGPT would just naturally start adding hashtags to Pinterest pins. It also likes to use emojis, which is also worth putting in testing. They tend to capture people's attentions with those emojis. So yeah, there's all sorts of little things that you can do to stand out, because there will be other people on there, other coaches on there that are creating content to reach people on Pinterest. And so it's, at least my strategy is, I like to pay attention to who's doing well on the platform and model what they're doing, but also find that unique angle or that unique voice that you can bring, but to leverage or piggyback off those bigger existing topics that are out there, but find something new and interesting and helpful and inspiring to talk about, and create events for those in a long ways.
The most important thing that you said there is inspiring. That's one of the hardest things for me when I'm making kids. Just like, is this inspiring?
Yeah, and the tricky part is with coaching in general, it's informational, text-based content that you are consuming, maybe some video content, and it's less visual. Okay, so there are a lot of bloggers out there. They have like a home decor website, super popular niche on Pinterest, and it's all about pretty pictures of the interior of a house and giving different ideas ideas for maybe a bedroom makeover, right? So just very visual. Same thing with fashion and beauty, all very visual. Pinterest is very much a visual platform, so those can do well. The challenge can come for those who are creating content that's more informational. People are reading the text, so people don't go to Pinterest and be like, what do I want? What article do I want to read next? That's not their intention. They want to visually be inspired by something, and that's where you have to be strategic with your pen designs. If you are writing more informational content on your site, creating pins, those blog posts with that information, and that your pen designs are likely going to have text on them. They're going to have to capture someone's attention with some sort of visual to it. And so if you can leverage AI, Ideogram is a great tool to help you figure out some good pen designs for creating something that's visually appealing, but also it's going to have text on the pen as well to capture that attention. So if you want their attention visually, just make it a purely visual image. If you want their attention, say, more mentally with the information, then you're going to have to put text on the pen. And those can do really well. When because again, people go to Pinterest to get ideas, and when they just get the idea from the pen itself, and that's all they need. So for example, like a makeover of a bedroom, and it's like a pink bedroom for their girl. Like they just save that pen, and that's it. Like they like everything in that image. They don't need to go to the website to get the details of it, right? But they do something informational. Like if you're providing some sort of advice, then and like you've got 4 steps to conquering your fear of public speaking, they're going to need to go click on that pen to go to your blog post and actually read those 4 steps.
And having things in your images that Pinterest can attach products to, Pinterest really likes that.
Yeah, that's right. So that's kind of there's pros and cons to all of that. Pinterest does like products. They're really wanting to become a go-to platform for e-commerce. If people want to buy products, instead of going to Amazon first, they want them to go to Pinterest. They can start doing certain searches on Pinterest for products, because Pinterest will curate products from Amazon, but also from other storefronts. Yeah. So, and there's a lot more money there, honestly. Like they're just going to make money from ads, right? And so I do see a lot of content creators create like an Etsy shop where they've got like digital downloads. They'll get that little dude that's $5, get a person on an email list. And so I've literally seen people take a blog post, they turn it into a PDF, and go sell it on Etsy for like 99 cents. And it's a great way to
genius idea.
Yeah, people will do it because a lot of times blog posts with ads, and they just want the information. And so some people are willing to just pay $1 or $2 and just get the pure information with no disruption. But it's another way if you provide some sort of PDF guide. Look on Etsy. Go start searching some of the topics that you talk about or coach on, and see. You might be surprised at some of the digital products you see over there, and that's a huge market as well. You can promote your pins for your Etsy products as well.
Wow! And you can tag your product on your pin, so like it'll show up underneath your pin, which is kind of cool.
Oh, really? Yeah, I've never done that. I haven't dabbled in the product side of Pinterest.
Well, if you have it, like for you do a lot of recipe pins. So if you have a recipe pin for like cast iron skillets, so you go over to Amazon and you find a whole slew of cast iron skillets, and you take that link. You have to use a long link, and you have to put affiliate in your or Amazon affiliate in your description, down at the very bottom. But you put it in there, and then your pin will show up, and then there'll be all these squares underneath it where they can just go buy that skillet and make your thing.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great, and that's helpful for the person who, if they're wanting to get into that. If they need a new skillet, maybe they don't have one yet. Yeah, great opportunity right there. They're a little source of revenue.
Yeah, and you can do that with Etsy Shop shops. You can do it with pretty much any shop, but it has to actually be a product. That's one of their big things. And you can't use the short affiliate link with Amazon.
Good.
I know because I've tried. So, Tony, I know that you had one other thing that you were, that was the pin clicks, the free trial. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I created a tool called PinClicks. It's for Pinterest creators. So if you're serious about the platform, I would consider looking at this tool. So I provide a free 5-day trial. You can use all the features on it, but it's a great tool for in-depth keyword research to understand the topics to create content about that people are interested in. But it's also a good tool to help you optimize your pins because it's important to put the right keywords in those pins. Also have some other features that we're launching, like an account explorer, where you can, if you find other coaches like in your niche that are on Pinterest, you can put in their Pinterest account into the PinClicks, and you can see some of the keywords that they're targeting or ranking their pins for to help give you ideas and inspiration there. So check it out, and if it's a good fit, then you get a 5-day free trial, and then from there, we just continue to innovate the product, and I'm excited about all the things we're launching here in 2025.
It is really exciting to being part of your community, but also being part of having access to PinClicks and just honestly getting your emails. They are so helpful. There's a handful of people whose emails I read almost every day, and yours is one of them. Just because you're a good writer, and your content is like helpful. It means something.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah. I try to, I recognize every person's inbox is, it's precious. Like for my own inbox, it's very important. Like I receive important emails in there from anywhere from my bank to my wife to then newsletters. And I am honored to be in someone's inbox because that means I get a bit of their attention. And these days, attention is king, really. Like to capture someone's attention, you can lead them and help guide them, coach them. And so, yeah, I try to provide as much value as I can in those emails. And so hopefully as coaches, that's a great way really to earn that trust. Like people will buy from you when they feel like they know, like, and trust you. It's one of the reasons why, I put little anecdotal stories in my email sometimes, just to have people get to know me, and people will reply and they'll kind of share stories with me about them, and I get to know them. It's great. And so it just builds a lot of trust and rapport. And it just feels good. Like as a creator, it feels good. And then I've just received replies to my newsletters often, and people just thanking me, and it just feels great. So that's my encouragement to everyone else. Just if you're going to err on this, I would err on the side of just almost giving out too much, being almost too helpful. There have been times where I'm like, maybe I shouldn't talk about this. It might be too, but I just have always been like, I'm going to go ahead and send it and just err on that side. And that served me well.
I just love that there's so much generation of ideas in the collaboration. The more information you put out there, then the more people can take that information and shuffle it around, and they come up with a new idea, and it's like, oh, but we could do this and we could do that. And it really just makes the whole world better for everybody.
It really does. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I started the Maverick Forum. So hopefully as you're listening to this, you're a part of some sort of community of people who are doing this alongside of you. Maybe they're not the same kind of coaches that you are, but getting in some sort of coaching community. I know you have one, right? So whether it's yours or someone else, get plugged into community because of that collaboration and ideation and building relationships with people. It's been foundational to any success that I've had. I haven't done it alone. And it's just been, I can't encourage people enough to get in some sort of community.
Yeah, and those relationships last decades. I've been around the internet for a really long time, and I still, decades later, there's a handful of people that are just like their core, and we're always doing stuff, and it's fun.
Yeah, that's special.
It's a fun community. So what's the one thing you hope the audience takes away from our conversation today, Tony? This has been amazing.
Yeah. So what I would do is go to the tool that I've created, that free tool I mentioned. Also, create a Pinterest account if you haven't already, and just start plugging in some topics that you talk about, and look to see what other Pinterest accounts are on there that are coaches. Maybe they're coaching on some topics similar to you, and just start investigating to see if this platform could be a good fit for you. And if so, I've got some tools and resources to help you out there. I even have a free Pinterest masterclass. It's like an hour-long training. We can provide a link to that as well if you're serious about it, and know that it's a commitment, but it's a great platform. So it's worth at least investigating.
It's so fun. Visually stimulating. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks
for
having me on,
joining us for the U World Order Showcase podcast. Remember, if you would like to be featured on this podcast as a life, health, or transformational coach, please visit www.jointheuworldorder.com. We look forward to talking to you next time as we present another life, health, or transformational coach being the change they seek.